What's up, Chart Watcher Virgin Gang? Hope you're doing well. I'm doing pretty good. Today on the two square Sharpie selections, the newest edition of this stuff right here. I'm going to be starting to crank out like 50 or 60 of them over the next couple days. I'm hoping to bring a lot of them to card party. We have Pinsir today. Pinsir, one of the best bug type Pokemon. You know, everyone likes Heracross. Heracross is 4 times weak to flying type Pokemon. Little Pinsir over here is basically just a plain old bug and not quad weak to anything. I've always liked Pinsir a good little bit. I love Heracross to death, but Pinsir gets like the short end of the stick in my personal opinion when it comes to big tough bug beetle things. So I want to talk about a little bit of stuff today regarding chart watching and TCG player, a whole bunch of other things too, right? So Night Wanderer cards have been starting to be leaked here and there. I'm not going to leak too fucking many of them or anything like that. I saw where a Persian was coming out, and then I saw some like focus on a few other cards as well, a few other Pokemon that were actually getting some spotlight time as well. I think it's Pheasantipity, Okidoggy, some of the new DLC Pokemon actually wrapping up that DLC arc before they move into new things they're talking about for the TCG. You know, glory of Team Rocket, and then eventually the terrestrial Pokemon that are going to be coming out here in a second soon. That might be the high class set coming out soon, maybe a special set. Yeah, we'll see what happens with that. But Night Wanderer, a bunch of cards were actually doing that stuff, and I just noticed a bunch of people like actually talk about it today. Everyone's welcome to their opinions on that stuff, so am I, and I do like watching people talk about certain things and just, you know, where this set's gonna go, what people fucking think about where cards are gonna be. But of course, a lot of that's gonna stem from the talk about money, where the cards are gonna be worth, what arts they think are the most investable to put money into, stuff like that. And just from what I've been seeing, there's a ton of people that are excited about it, but there is also a ton of people that are just like trash Scarlet and Violet sets. These ones just aren't doing anything. That is definitely nothing new for the Scarlet and Violet era. I mean, hell, it's not even new for like Sword and Shield or something. I mean, I've been here for the entirety of basically any alt art era. Back when I would consider some of the XY arts too, like the ones with the gold borders and have some extra Pokemon on them too. I would argue that possibly some of those are actually alternate art cards too, but I digress. We'll keep it to the Sun and Moon era where people just uniformly think like that's where a lot of shit started, right? So the very first one was Mewtwo. But I remember people really liking that card. But I remember the Sun and Moon era as a whole kind of getting trashed, just like left and right, especially with the Alolan variants of Pokemon, especially since they focused heavily on Kanto variants. Just it never stopped. There was just people in like 2015, 16 just shitting all over new Pokemon stuff when it was being announced. Like I remember specifically like the Alolan Executor, I think, just getting ripped apart by people online. People saying Pokemon's dead. They've run out of ideas. Sword and Shield comes along, and that whole fucking arc before the alt art era explosion was getting vivisected. It was just getting roasted left and right, and there was only a couple cards people generally like from the sets, like Chilling Reign. People can look fondly back upon it all they want. I remember when Silver Lance and Black Poltergeist came out, and that's the sets that make up Chilling Reign in English. Bro, those were getting roasted. I think people like 2 cards from that set, and I think it was actually Zorora, and I think the Blissey was people hated Calyrex. Hated the fuck out of that Pokemon. The Night Rider, the Shadow Rider, the Ice Rider. They hated those fuckers, man. And now people are overall accepting Sword and Shield as like a great era for Pokemon. Sun and Moon's looked back at as like one of the peak eras. This is when Pokemon was doing great things and stuff like that. And Scarlet and Violet has brought us many great things. It is the most artistic era that we've received so far when it comes to modern Pokemon sets, in my personal opinion. The art rares are all fantastic. The artistic freedom, the Pokemon selection, the set sizes, the amount of rarities you can get, the overall availability of the sets. We're in a great time. And yet, if you look at what people are saying about these actual sets, apparently we're just in a fucking depression when it comes to Pokemon. Oh, these sets are just running out of stuff. I'm saving my money till they bring back the Kanto fuckers. I'm saving my money for this and that. And then there's people that have their opinions on what you should put your money towards on stuff, which I don't have a problem with until it starts coming to like singles. And I'll get to that here in a second. But like when it comes to investing, I can sum up every video in 20 seconds. Buy these. Buy a fucking sealed product and sit on it for 4 or 5 years. Sell it to some YouTuber. I can't guarantee, but I am willing to bet there's still going to be some fucking PokeTubers in the next 4 or 5 years. They're going to want to open some fucking product. They're going to want to do that. They're going to have some clickbaity ass thumbnail and title and like the open mouth face of them opening a $600 box from the Sword and Shield there. I mean, that's just going to happen. Singles, my problem with that, my big problem with people having like these predictions and stuff on singles is this market is nowhere near what it used to be. It is not predictable anymore. No one can put a fucking pulse on anything, and the amount of like buyouts and manipulation speculation happening on TCG Player. I don't give a fuck what any page says. I don't care what anyone is going to tell you about, like, this is just supply, whatever, watch stuff. In some cases, there are some cards that follow that, but if there is a rule, you can apply a rule massively, and it generally be okay. I understand there's going to be exceptions to that, but nothing in the actual singles market for anything Scarlet and Violet makes any fucking sense. Hell, Sword and Shield even is kind of guilty of that stuff too. I mean, if you were looking at people talking about like what to put money into, what to buy, what to do, especially in Sword and Shield's early inception when like the COVID shit happened and everybody was hopping back in, put your money in Charizard. Put all your fucking money in Charizard. Charizard. Bro, Charizard's not even mentioned anymore in the Sword and Shield conversations. Not even mentioned for a second, unless they're opening Brilliant Stars. And even then, I mean, there's Arceus in this stuff too. You got the Trainer Gallery. I would argue the Trainer Gallery, isn't that the one that has fucking Karen's Umbreon in it? I would argue at some point that card might eclipse everything else, especially with how things are going. Because for some reason, everyone's always like, oh yeah, Umbreon was always the popular evolution. Bro, that's not... Espeon could easily reclaim that throne at some point and just fucking overtake Umbreon in popularity, and then like the prices will also kind of follow that stuff too. I don't think Umbreon's just ever gonna fucking crash, but I definitely do think some of the prices for that, especially like popular Pokemon driven things like the evolutions, where like all it takes is a certain trainer or something crazy to happen with a certain evolution, or some fucking big shot to just endorse a certain evolution as opposed to another one. Enough people buy into that hype and then follow that trend in order for that stuff to happen. You don't believe me? I mean, fucking explain this shit to me over here in Scarlet and Violet. What's this? Someone want to explain this over here to me? Oh, you know, the fucking legendary treasures are ruined that no one fucking likes or anything. Chen Pao was receiving a good little bit of love because the deck was playable, sure. But like for the most part, people like that weren't like the money side of shit was like, fuck yeah, fuck it. And now we got this sitting over here at like $60 fucking dollars. For what reason, you might ask? I'm not really too sure. And then people are like, oh, well, you know, certain art cards are going to be the way to go with that stuff too. No, it's not a rule that can be applied. Magikarp's one of those ones that's also very, it's like, yes, the art is great, but the art rare cards across the board are all great. There is so many great art rare cards that are literally just like fucking swept to the side as opposed for some of the others. And people are going to be like, oh, it's Kanto for Magikarp. Everyone loves a good Kanto Pokemon. Yeah, fucking explain this one then too. Slowpoke? Yeah, everyone loves a good Slowpoke too, right? Fucking Slowpoke. Slowpoke. He's good. Yes, he's a little bit more expensive than some of the other ones, but I mean, fuck, dude. Like, look at the discrepancy in this shit. It's the artist. Most of you guys don't even know the artist. You have to go look at the card again to see who the artist is. That's not what it is. You don't care about the artist or anything like that. That's not the thing. And I know some people are going to have an issue with me saying that, but it's just fucking true. You'd know the artist. You'd be sitting there like, okay, J-Love, fucking spouting artist knowledge left and goddamn right if that was true. And it would be widespread and people would do that stuff. Well, the thing is people follow the money when it comes to stuff. And here's why I think you shouldn't really listen to what anybody fucking says about singles. It doesn't take anything anymore for a single to pop off. You just need to get a fucking big enough group of people, get a little stack of cash, buy a bunch of a card, fucking post that shit on Reddit, post that shit for me to fucking commentate on YouTube, and then all of a sudden it's just gonna go fucking crazy for a little bit. It might drop back down, but then there's gonna be some people defending it and grading it and doing all this other stuff too, going like, yeah, this is what it is now, this is what it fucking goes for. And there's a chance it'll go down, there's a chance it won't, there's a chance that fucking anything could happen. And this is, you can apply this to like any fucking card now. Even some of the trash cards in Night Wanderer. And the fact that some people still don't think this is the case after TCG Player said, yes, this is the case. We're not really fucking doing anything about it right this second. But yeah, this is happening. And people are like, no, this is supply and demand. This is what people want. This is what it is. This while they're fucking sitting here trashing. Like, for example, people saying trash Scarlet and Violet sets. They need to step their game up big time. Meanwhile, on their page, they're sucking the dick of Scarlet and Violet. I mean, that just goes to show you they'll just follow the money anywhere. They'll fucking grab the dick of they'll suck whatever is in front of them, dude. Just to like chase the money and do whatever. If the card is worth money, people are gonna fucking praise it. If it is not, they're gonna talk trash about it. It's nothing to do with Pokemon, has nothing to do with any kind of trainer, has nothing to do with any of that other crap. Yes, some are a little bit more prone to it than others because of certain factors of nostalgia, but that's not how this shit works anymore. The market doesn't work like that anymore. Nothing works like that currently in this state. None of it makes any sense. You can just pick a card, go crazy with it, and eventually it might happen. Some of them stick a little better than others, and some of them don't. That's just straight up what it is. That's how it goes. That's what this fucking stuff does. And then some of them are like for playability, and that confuses the hell out of people that are like buyers and stuff. And like the investors are like, what the fuck's going on with this card right here? And they don't get that. But they understand, like, oh, well, the Chi-Yu card, that's a great art. I don't know the artist off the top of my head, but they make great art. That's some great art right there. I just don't think you should listen to really like any kind of advice about singles or people calling sets trash because they're sitting on like certain cards. Certain Pokemon are being favored over others. It just does. That's not how this stuff works anymore. It's not how this bullshit goes. If you like something, you should put your money into it. If you like a set, you should open the set. If you like cards, you should collect those cards. If they happen to fucking explode in the future and you want to move those cards to like do whatever the hell you want with that, then hell, that's a good old bonus too, man. But I mean, none of this stuff makes any kind of sense anymore, in my personal opinion, with looking at this, where people are just fucking picking and choosing specific cards and alternate arts. I mean, like the rarity system for Pokemon's also messed up too. And you know how try explaining it to like a brand new person in Pokemon. Like, okay, they're looking at that stuff and they're looking at the rarities. They pull a gold card. Usually when someone's brand new and they pull a gold card, they lose their shit until like someone more experienced steps in and is like, oh no, that's like a $4 card, bro. You want to look for this card. It's a little bit easier to pull, but like it's worth like 20 times the value because of this, this, and this. And then like explaining how like specific things work, and it's like, oh, Kanto Pokemon, right? And it's like, yes, but no, that's not always the case. Oh, Charizard, yes, but no, it's not the case. Evolutions, yeah, but like only like certain ones. They don't all follow that fucking pattern. Oh, Japanese cards, no, not anymore. That was fucking last year, bro. We don't do that anymore. This year, it's all about English, and they're like 4 times as expensive as anything else now. Why? Oh, cause that's just what happens. That's what it is now, man. I don't know. It just did that. There's so many little rules and like technicalities of things now, like little fucking exceptions to the rule. Like Charizard, once again, yes, Charizard's not fucking cheap, but Charizard's not selling the TCG anymore. It's just not. That's not what people are actively moving towards, and that's not the fucking headlines. It's not the top cards. That's not what people are fucking chasing anymore, unless they're going specifically for brilliant stars. It's not the case anymore. It's just things don't work quite like that. It might fix itself in the future. If not, what the fuck ever. Let me know how you feel, of course. It's more like just, it's goofy. I'm just kind of talking about that. I just don't think you should just be listening about fucking single prices anymore, because in all honesty, like, I've saved so much money not fucking listening to other people. I've like went and grabbed some cards while I thought they were cheap, and then some cards just crashed down, and then other cards have shot back up. I was able to trade certain cards for other cards because like that's just how the market was working. It's crazy. It doesn't make any sense anymore. It really doesn't. If you go with your favorites, you're never going to have a bad time. You fill your binder with what you like, you're never going to have a bad time. That's all I got. Appreciate it, Virgin. See you later. Sorry for fucking ranting and going back and forth. Just, market's crazy. I don't know. Like anyone, Pseudo Widow, Heracross, any of those fucking art rares. I mean, whatever, man. Hey, Tatsugiri, that's not even a Gen fucking 2 Pokemon. That's a Gen 9.